everyone. Thanks for joining us on Diplomatic Channel. I'm Teniola Shobowale. The Prime Minister of the Netherlands, Mark Rutte, was recently in Nigeria on an official visit. He met with President Muhammadu Buhari for bilateral talks in Abuja. The talks were done behind closed doors, and so were the roundtable business interactions. According to the Prime Minister, the Netherlands is Nigeria's third trading partner.
One of the focuses of this visit is the economic cooperation. Both Nigeria and the Netherlands stand to benefit greatly from this economic cooperation. There are already strong economic ties between our countries. And I'm proud to say that the Netherlands is Nigeria's third biggest trading partner.
I have joining me Ambassador Ayola Olukoni, a former ambassador to the Netherlands who is now Director General at the Nigerian Association of Chambers of Commerce, Industry, Mines and Agriculture, to discuss more on Mr. Rutte's visit and what it means for the diplomatic relations between Nigeria and the Netherlands. Ambassador Ayola Olukoni, thank you so much for joining us on Diplomatic Channel.
Thank you very much. I feel highly honored to be back in the studios of Channels.
Yeah, it's great. So this was the first time the Netherlands Prime Minister visited Nigeria. Would you say is the importance of this visit?
Well, I think in the world of diplomacy, the level of visit is a reflection of the state of bilateral relations. And I must say that Netherlands is one of the key major countries in our bilateral relations. So the visit of the Prime Minister at that level is a reflection of the high level and the cordial ties between Nigeria and Netherlands.
Okay, well, President Buhari met with the Prime Minister and they agreed to work together to deepen trade volume, private investment, as well as fight human trafficking, among others. But this visit, it was largely focused on business. And the Prime Minister says Nigeria is the third biggest exporting country to them. This is pretty huge, isn't it? And how can Nigeria take full advantage of this? It
is huge, really, because I think Netherlands is one of the major trading partners of Nigeria. If you look at the volume of trade, you're talking about close to about 2 billion euro. Not only that, you also have major Netherlands company operating in the Nigerian environment. You talk about your big companies in the oil and gas, your Shell. You talk about other sectors of the Nigerian economy, big, huge dredging company. And don't forget the aviation sector too as well. The Royal Dutch Netherlands KLM is one of the main. So they are practically in all areas, including the area of consumer goods. So it's a reflection of the ties between us in the area of the economic relations. They're large major trading partner with us. Implicitly, they are involved in the development agenda in Nigeria. The task will now be how to work towards a mutually satisfied and beneficial economic ties between the two of us. I think this is one of the things which brought about this visit, and I'm expecting very soon a reciprocal visit, maybe most likely by Mr. President, to Netherlands himself.
Okay. Well, the Prime Minister says from the discussion they had with business leaders, it was clear that despite the fact that there are so many differences, the two countries have a lot to offer each other politically, economically, and culturally. What are some of these, and what can both countries benefit from stronger relations?
I think we must look at the context in which the international community is today. You talk about the whole question of globalization. There are issues of global commons which one nation itself cannot solve alone. Very many key issues. You're talking about the question of environment and sustainable development. You're talking about the issues of climate change. We talk about the question and issues of trafficking in persons, and on and on and on and on and on like that. That is why it is very useful, especially your neighbors, especially countries that share the same vision, must work closely together. And that is one of the reasons why I think Netherlands, of course, within the framework of our relations within the EU countries, comes on the top league. I happen in the course of my own career, I've served 2 times in Europe. I served in Brussels, I also served also in Vienna. And I know that in content on the multilateral scene, we work closely with each other. And let me tell you, if you look at the way we sit at the United Nations, I think you have Netherlands, you have Nicaragua, you have Niger, you have Nigeria. When two of our neighbors are not sitting next to us, the neighbor to our left is usually Netherlands. And we do whisper to each other, neighbor, it's nice to see you. Can we discuss in terms of coming together? The point I'm making is that Netherlands is very close to us in terms of a whole range of issues. And like I said, especially issues of global common, which today brings all of us together in various places.
But a lot of countries from EU seem to now be attracted to, or, you know, coming to African countries, especially because of Brexit, because they're looking for other trading partners. Do you think this is relevant now that because of Brexit, you know, we get more EU countries coming to Nigeria? And how can we, you know, latch onto this?
I think the first thing we should say is that Nigeria, that is the existential reality for most countries. As far as Africa is concerned, Nigeria is the place to go. This is the place for you to come into business. This is the country that would, at the end of the day, lead the pack. Currently, we're the biggest economy in Africa. So naturally, everybody's angling for a piece of action as far as Nigeria is concerned. The market is heavy concern. All you need to do is maybe just capture a little bit of the market, maybe somewhere in Agege. You're done. Not to talk of the entire country itself. So we're very attractive to a lot of countries. Not only that, in terms of natural resources too as well. Nigeria has a vast mineral deposit, areas which we have not touched. I serve as ambassador to Australia, High Commissioner to Australia, and I have an idea in terms of the whole question of the mining sector, which a lot of countries have. And then, of course, don't forget, Netherlands has also proved to be the leading country when it comes to the area of dredging, the whole question, as far as water resources stuff is concerned. Don't forget, the country is below sea level. And so they develop technology which we can benefit from, which we can be of use to us. And I think these are areas, these are things which draw the two of us together. And of course, you hop abroad, you know, between Lagos, Murtala Mohammed Airport, 5 hours down the road, you're in Skipper. So that's a reflection of how close we are. But historically, of course, we work closely with each other, and we have excellent bilateral relations, and we can, of course, work closely with each other for the benefit of our respective countries. Yeah,
which leads me on to my next question. So this meeting reflected a lot of agreement in terms of business and agriculture, but there are also other aspects like big issues of human trafficking and insecurity. In the long run, how can we attract help and investment from Netherlands to help, you know, eradicate some of these issues?
Well, I think the first thing we should talk about in that area is that the two of us also work within the framework of a multilateral agreement, which is the UNCTAD. The UNCTAD is the UN Convention on Transnational Organized Crime. That means at the multilateral level, all of us sit down, how can we come to grips with an issues of global common? Recently, I mean, it was a tragic incident in which dead people were found in a refrigerated trailer. That tells you that trafficking in person is on the top of the agenda. So we work closely within the framework to prevent such things. Secondly, you also have the GCM. The GCM is the Global Compact on Migration, in which we all agree that, look, listen, migrating from one part of the world to the other is an age-old thing. It will not stop. But let us do it in an orderly manner, so that skilled personnel who wants to move from one country to the other can do it. That's one of the framework as far as the GCM itself is concerned. And I remember during the process of negotiations of the Global Compact on Migration, the GCM, we work closely with the Netherlands. Like I said, they are usually next to us. And then it's a reflection of the fact that the two of us must work closely together in this particular area to prevent the crisis which we have. But in context of development too as well, if we work closely together, because we also work closely with Netherlands within the framework of our relations with EU on migration issues, that if we can tackle the crisis and the pressure of unemployment that drive people out of these places on the illegal route, then we will have, of course, tackled the issues from the, fundamentally itself. And that's why our links with Netherlands is quite useful in this area. I serve as DG of NACIMA recently. When the Consul General, the new Consul General of Netherlands came, he came to us to say, look, listen, we want to work closely with you. The area of agriculture is key, is very important. If we can work closely with Nigeria to develop the agricultural sector and its value chain, there will be jobs.
Yeah.
It will also possibly impact on level of development, and a lot of people will not have to go onto the Morocco road.
Yeah. All right, then, Ambassador Ayola Olukomi, thank you so much for speaking to us on Diplomatic.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
It's an honor to be here. I feel highly honored.
Yeah.
And thanks to Channel for doing a good job.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Well, let's take a quick check on other discussions in diplomatic circles.
Timothy Wicks, the Australian academic released by Taliban in November after being kept hostage for more than 3 years, said that hope had helped him survive the ordeal when his life was at the mercy of his captors. Wicks and American Kevin King, who were kidnapped in August 2016 outside Kabul's American University of Afghanistan, where both of them worked, were freed by Taliban in return for the release of 3 Taliban commanders.
I struggle to find words to express just how completely this has changed me. At times I felt as if my death was imminent and that I would never return to see those that I loved again. But by the will of God, I am here. I am alive and I am safe and I am free.
The 50-year-old teacher from Wagga Wagga in New South Wales, who has returned to Australia, said that he never gave up hope.
I didn't allow myself to hope. I had hope all the time. I never ever gave up hope. And I think in that sort of situation, that if you give up hope, there is very little left for you. So yeah, I had hope the whole time. I knew that I would leave that place eventually. Just took a little longer than I expected.
The Taliban group said on Friday they were ready to restart peace talks with the United States a day after President Trump's unannounced Thanksgiving Day visit. Iraqi legislators have approved Prime Minister Adel Abdul Mahdi's resignation on Sunday during a parliament session held in the capital Baghdad amid weeks of deadly anti-government protests in the country. Referring to Article 76 of the country's constitution, Speaker Mohammad Al-Habousi said President Barham Salih will now ask the largest political bloc in parliament to nominate the next prime minister. Crowds of black-clad protesters, including students, marched through Baghdad as parliament voted to accept the resignation of the prime minister. Students carrying Iraqi flags missed classes to march in the capital and lit candles by a makeshift memorial for protesters killed in the violence. Iraqi forces have killed nearly 400 mostly young unarmed demonstrators since mass anti-government protests broke out on October 1st. Protesters gathered in different parts of Hong Kong on Sunday as the Asian financial city geared up for further demonstrations following a week of relative calm. Dozens of pro-Beijing government protesters at Shim Shua Shu waved Chinese flags and sang nationalist songs, which ended peacefully. At Edinburgh Square, protesters brought yellow balloons and waved banners against the use of tear gas. Elsewhere, hundreds of protesters sang the United States national anthem during a rally outside the U.S. consulate in Hong Kong, thanking President Donald Trump for his support on a U.S. bill backing the protests. Mr. Trump recently signed into law 2 bills that will ban exports of anti-riot munitions to China and impose possible sanctions based on its handling of Hong Kong, which drew a sharp rebuke from Beijing's foreign ministry.
When we come back after the break, we will be discussing the diplomatic tensions brewing between the US and China as a result of the US president signing into law the Hong Kong Human Rights and Democracy Act. Stay with us.